man. The apps they make with these things are just addicting. Oh well. Stop there. Set this up on the tripod, use it as a camera, and then... a new camera! At last! Right. Might as well christen this thing with a very intriguing review. With a movie of such ingenuity, such interest, and above all, truly absolute... absolutely terrible.
Standing in the middle of nowhere, wondering how to begin. Lost between tomorrow and yesterday, between now and then. Back where you started, here we go round again. Back where you started, come on, do it again, do it again, do it again. Back where we started, here we go round again. Day after day I get up and I say, do it again, do it again. Do it again. Day after day I get up and I say, come on, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again.
Say, you remember that commercial Denny's did a while back for their red, white, and blue pancakes? You know, the one where the guy is looking at a menu, sees the selection, questions what it tastes like, and the guy next to him says,
America.
"You do? Okay, picture that. But if they took that itsy-bitsy little commercial and bloated it to a 3-hour-long epic with a patriotic message that is so nailed into your brain, it feels way too pretentious for its own good." Well, then again, something like that would be better than the Postman. The story of the movie's production is more fascinating than the movie itself. Upon publication in 1985, David Byrne's novel The Postman was put in development at Warner Brothers Studios. The script went through several drafts, with some bearing from a satirical tone to others with a more serious nature. Eventually, the project caught the eye of Kevin Costner, who was just finishing up The Bodyguard. He would not only become the movie's star, but also the director as well, seeing he had prior success with this method before. However, due to commitments with other projects, Warner Bros. Would have to wait longer for The Postman to go into production. When all seemed lost after the oceanic flop Waterworld, some small success 1 year later with Tin Cup eased some fears that maybe Costner's career still had life left. It should be also noted The Postman was going up against James Cameron's Titanic. While both are highly different, they shared one thing in common. Both Cameron and Costner clearly showed great passion and energy when it came to directing, but maybe a little too much. And when everyone was more focused on the production problems The Ship of Dreams was producing, attention was being turned away from Kevin Costner's $80 million picture, for better or for worse.
Oh, poor Mr. Costner. He tries so hard.
Marketing was no help either, ranging from a lengthy trail with laughably bad dialogue to poor poster designs. It also didn't help that postal carriers were not favorable in the public mind at the time. So to have a grand sweeping epic where a person assumes everyone's least favorite government worker was a bit risky. Either that or they normally think of Sinbad.
Just a sick world we're living in, sick people.
The Postman made its delivery on Christmas Day of 1997 to dismal reviews and bombed heavily at the box office, taking in only $17.6 million. During its opening 4-day weekend run, it only grossed $5.26 million while playing in 2,207 cinemas. I bring this up because Disney's live-action Mr. Magoo was playing at the same time and earned $5.23 million from 1,857 theaters. And when you take into account the budgets both had, it's kind of sad when you do the math and see which had the better gross despite box office rankings. So, in a bizarre way, Disney's Mr. Magoo did somewhat better than Kevin Costner's Postman?
Magoo, you've done it again. Have a good day. Whoa!
Okay, before anybody questions those odds, I would like to point out we got a 3-hour ego trip to breeze through, so let's just get this over with. Our story takes place in the year 2013. Ah, yes. I remember the dystopian year of 2013 very well. It is a desolate wasteland brought up from an off-screen nuclear war that's described through audio exposition.
I was the only one left on the planet after the Holocaust, eh? The Earth had been like devastated by nuclear war. There wasn't much to do. All the bowling alleys had been wrecked. So as I spent most of my time looking for beer, I was kind of like a one-man force, eh? Like Charlton Heston in Omega Man. Did you see it? It's beauty.
As we see Oregon in a mess, we get introduced to our main character played by Kevin Costner, who in no way bears a similar resemblance to that loner from the other Costner dystopia movie. Unlike Waterworld, where Costner's Mariner was a guy who was antisocial, had no name, collected junk to get by in life, and was a jerk, this Costner is minimally social, has no name, and is also marginally a jerk. Did I also mention he does Shakespearean donkey shows to get by in life?
Arm yourselves. Witch's words are true to be known. Honey, hide it here. Now fight as if our last meal depended on it, Bill.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
And in this world gone mad, there is a militant army of smokers, Holnists. Get it? Because it sounds like Holocaust in a sense. Who are led by the ruthless deacon, General Bethlehem, played by Will Patton. He plans to seize and conquer dry land, the United States. That's it! If I'm going to make comparisons to this movie and Waterworld, I might as well get them out of the way right now so I don't spend the entire review doing it. This is the atoll that gets ransacked. Here's the beautiful actress who deserves to be in better movies. That one is the crazy guy with the inventions. And here's the child that will somehow bring harmony and salvation. There. That should cover it. Actually, I did fail to mention that James Newton Howard did the musical score for both movies, and they're also edited by Peter Boyle. No, that's as far as I'm going with that. In fact, one major difference is the Holnists themselves. True, they take on a likeness that mirrors the smokers, but here's the weird thing. In an extended version of Waterworld, we get a better understanding of who the smokers are.
Now, I got this parish. Good parish. Large parish. Getting larger all the time, in fact.
To make less people.
Well, that's a quaint suggestion. But it don't really play here. Considering we are, in fact, the Church of Eternal Growth.
Ah, so apparently they're Catholic for some reason. Here, the Holnists appear like your basic military gang at first.
Only then will you be part of the clan.
Is that clan with a C or, But then later, the head general mentions how the inner workings is close to a tyrannical monarchy.
We have what is known as a feudal system, like in the Middle Ages. That's lords and vassals. That's you and me.
So, are the Holnists an allegory for a hate group, or are they trying to take things back to the Middle Ages? Either way, we question it, and it doesn't get answered. If your intention is to make something a metaphor, do it, we won't care. But you can't have two sides and say it means both things. Sure, in one corner you throw in something like this.
But I say you've got some in you.
But then you throw in confusion with something like...
We had a great nation once. You know what made it great? I can. Until the weak came along. The Icans destroyed it.
Ugh, this is more confusing than Star Wars. Is it the New Republic or the Rebellion? The Galactic Empire or the First Order? Make up your damn mind! So Costner's nameless drifter, you know, for the duration of this movie, I'm just going to call him Bill. I know they sort of refer to him as Shakespeare a couple of points because he recites Shakespeare a lot, but this guy's more deserving of the name Shakespeare than he does. Also, that and the fact that they only list his name in the end credits as the Postman. So I christen thee Bill. And yes, for those who've seen the movie, I am aware his donkey's name is Bill. At this rate, I couldn't care less.
Things I like about my ass.
No!
Oh yes, I love my donkey, and how it loves me. Oh yes, I love my donkey, that's great fun to see.
Anyway, Bill gets captured by the Wholeness and is forced into their grueling camp to be part of their army of magic 8-ball soldiers.
I'm the King of 8, and I am here to state that everything here has to total 8.
And when he and General Bethlehem meet for the first time, what do?
Cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
They have a Shakespeare off. I am not kidding. The General finds Bill has a love for the bard, and they trade play quotes. The epic rap battle of Jim Henson and Stan Lee was more interesting than this. So, what are the living additions of being a Wholenist? Well, my friend, you get to endure hours of marching. And training! This figure 8 tattoo branded into your skin, which symbolizes the 8 simple rules to live by. A tasty and steady diet of mule meat glop, immediate death if one doesn't follow the rules, and nightly movies under the stars at this drive-in theater. And all this can be yours, if you even give a crap about this movie. Though I will admit, the setup of the drive-in theater does lead to one very funny gag that I like. Glad to see her in a future where film criticism exists, and Jean-Claude Van Damme doesn't have much of a film career. Bill manages to escape the group and comes across an old mail carrier. Upon discovering the skeletal remains and all the letters to many family and friends, what does he do? Take the dead mail carrier's uniform along with the mail and pose as a postman in order to get into a walled-off city. Of course!
I'm a representative of the United States government, authorized by Order 417 of the Restored Congress to reestablish communication route in Idaho and Lower Oregon. Understand that tampering with the mail or obstructing the mail is a federal offense, and furthermore, the Bolin Act requires that you provide all mail carriers with sanctuary and food.
The sad thing is, it works! As it just so happens, Bill manages to have a letter for an elder who's living in there, which starts to make everyone believe the United States is restored after all. Oh, but it doesn't end there. People let him stay for the night, hold a dinner and dance in his honor for hearing such good news, and he continuously stacks on more lies to keep their faith intact.
Is there a president?
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Richard Starkey.
Yes, because I'm certain the drummer for the Beatles would want to be president of the United States.
He has a saying. Stuff's getting better. Stuff's getting better every day.
Is he a Democrat or a Republican?
Parties are over with. It's an individual that counts. Well, the government's just getting started. So you're going to be on your own for 18 months.
Even wives with sterile husbands want to sire a child with his seed.
Sure.
Yep, I'm certain this will have no repercussions later on. But as it turns out, Sheriff Krueger from Seinfeld is the only one to see through his dubious con.
I'm afraid you don't understand. I'm a government employee, authorized by...
You are not authorized by shit. You are trying to sneak out of here. You are nothing but a drifter who found a bag of mail, and I want you out of my town.
Now this could lead to an interesting idea. This man catches on to Bill's ploy and either plays along with it to avoid shattering the hopes of the townsfolk, or he will be suckered in like the rest of the folks.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain.
You got a hell of a nerve, whoever you are.
Yeah, you around this morning?
This con works so well that Bill tries it for a second time at another town.
What about New York City? Did they survive the plague?
They got Broadway up and running again. There's a kid doing Andrew Floyd Webber you wouldn't believe.
Or he could be doing this so he can get everyone's mail right for them seeing what good it is. Actually, this is not explained very well. I mean, sure, he sees what good his false hope is doing, but there are times where he's unsure to continue it or just use it off as a con. You could make the argument that he does want to spread good hope, but seeing he spreads lies about the United States being restored, it only weakens the likability of his character. He's making the Mariner from Waterworld a better character in comparison. And yeah, the Mariner did some very mean things, but at least he was an interesting character. The depth of his character is explained a little better in a deleted scene where he has no idea of what the word pity means. A little while after, he goes to a bunch of National Geographic magazines and understand what the definition of pity is. Now that's really damn deep. But here...
I was at the Battle of Georgetown. I watched the White House burn to the ground. Do not try to sell me on any restored United States.
The new Capitol is based in Minneapolis, inside the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome. You know where the Vikings used to play?
You're funny.
Well, on the bright side, at least he's not destroying small towns and taking away their goods.
The United States doesn't exist!
General Bethlehem makes his rounds and feels greatly disturbed by how all the townsfolk are acting.
You see sedition. What am I seeing here?
A man came through with mail, said he was a postman, said that the government had been restored back to peace.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about how the $80 million budget for this movie got estimated and approved. Come to think of it, probably went something like this.
This is a huge project involving lots of numbers and papers and folders.
I'm not too worried about it. Let's get started.
Okay.
George, check it out. 3 times around with no feet. Hmm? All me. All me.
So the woman named Abby, you know, the one who Bill impregnated, she witnesses her husband getting killed by General Bethlehem and is kidnapped. You see, her husband refuses to let Bethlehem have sex with her and results in the general dragging her along by force. Coincidentally, she runs into Bill when Bethlehem is raiding another town and the two escape. They seek refuge in a distant log cabin, and here's where the problem with the movie shows. So much time has been used for world building to a point we start to care little about our characters. And considering this is a basic copy and paste good versus evil ploy, we should get the right to some good character depth. I mean, these are 2 really good performers, Kevin Costner and Olivia Williams. I know they can do some good stuff, and they're really trying to make this material work. The only problem is, they're bounded to a really faulty script. For exactly 11 minutes, we get a small back and forth between these two, which doesn't go anywhere. Oh sure, they devote 30 minutes of material setting up the wholeness, but not enough time for chemistry here? If that wasn't enough, prior to meeting up again, Abby saves Bill's life at one point, but then she finds out she was once a member of the wholeness. At one point she even contemplates to murder him and doesn't. Her fears are erased when he rescues her later on, and even Bill starts to raise suspicion, thinking Abby's having Bethlehem's child.
He tried with me almost every night. He couldn't do it, so he beat me.
said it was my fault.
I'm sorry, Abby.
Thank you for clarifying that. After making snow soup, killing your horse for food, trying to get Bill to walk, and farting around this cabin for God who knows how long! Dialogue and talk is a very key thing. It sets up conversations to move plot and develop character. At this point, you're making Wes Anderson legendary before he was even legendary to begin with. You know what, you might as well just burn the cabin and just get on with the plot!
I set the fire!
Didn't think we'd stay here forever, did you?
No.
Okay, how about back to the stupid stuff that's making me entertained?
We don't want any trouble.
U.S. Postal Service. Got any mail?
That's impossible.
The young ones are trained to be mail carriers! Look at them in their stupid little uniforms! Okay. How about more awkward line reigns by Will Patton?
It's children. You bring me children. I want a man.
You want a war? I'll give you a war! Am I the only one who sees that?
So, how about this for a twist? Remember that town Bill visited first and posed as a mail carrier? One of the patrons named Ford Lincoln Mercury, because of course it's a smart idea to be named after a car dealership. The kid gets interested in becoming a mail carrier and Bill knights him as one. Ford is so passionate by this, he decides to carry out the legacy by setting up a group of young kids and inaugurating them as mail carriers and oh man, claiming he is in good contacts with Bill the postman. Great! Just great! What started off as a dystopian Waterworld version of Dances Under Wolves has officially turned into an R-rated version of... Hook. 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 In fact, why not? It's officially Hook. Kevin Costner's the Pan, the Lost Boys are all young mail carriers, Toodles is the old guy with the radio, and Rufio is this guy. All that's missing now is for Will Patton to don a hook, and a wavy, curly Weird Al Yankovic wig, and the goofiness will be complete. And just when you thought Bill was the worst character, get this.
I mean, what the hell is this?
I lied. I told people you were in direct contact with me.
Why?
Because I didn't want it to end.
Kid, you're now officially a true-hearted member of the FBI. The League of Frickin' Big Idiots. Oh no, I'm being serious. Sure, Bill started this whole thing with lies about the restored United States, but it's Ford here that adds a whole bunch of fuel to the fire that is questionably worse than Bill. Early on when Bill leaves, Ford restores the old post office and hangs up an American flag, much to the distaste of Bethlehem. This causes the general to have said flag and building burned down, creating a schism with the town in Bethlehem.
Said he was a postman, said that the government had been restored back to East.
What government?
The United States government!
Who said that?
Kid, I appreciate your passion, I really do. But haven't you seen Dead Poets Society?
See, there's a time for daring, and there's a time for caution. And a wise man understands which is called for.
There is a right and a wrong time for stuff like this. You just had a post office burnt down and a civilian killed. It results in Ford starting up the mail carrier business, claims he's in close contacts with Bill, known as the legendary figure the Postman, and it makes all sorts of political cartoons to overthrow Bethlehem's tyranny.
You spelled tyranny wrong.
But the fun doesn't stop there. At one point, Bethlehem kills some mail carriers while searching for the postman and uses their corpses to send a message to end their postal runs. Instead, Bill and a bunch of mail carriers ambush a group of Wholeness, killing every single one.
get rid of the bodies, Ford. I don't want these people blamed for what we did.
Oh, he gets rid of them all right. By means of putting him in a burning van and sending him straight to General Bethlehem. In return, he decides to get revenge by killing off a random selection of people in every single town.
Because Bethlehem has to know we're not gonna stop.
They're dying because of us.
They're not. They're down because of Bethlehem. They're down because this is a shitty world. And if we're ever gonna change it, then somebody might have to die. If I can make it be me down there, I would, but I can't.
No, they're dying because you made a big mistake. And I know it sounds like I'm coming down hard on the kid, but... seriously! Sure, he's trying to do a good thing, but you can't fight fire with fire! I mean, sure, it's one thing to make political cartoons with bad spelling, but sending them a burning truck with a bunch of dead soldiers from the enemy... oh, that's asking for a war. Because of this, Bill decides not to tell the truth, and instead writes a phony letter claiming that the president is ending the Postal Service.
And I won't see any more of my bravest die. It is my duty to hereby disband the Postal Service of the restored United States. You are to burn your uniforms, and the postman is to return to Minneapolis at once. Thank you. And God bless you all.
You know, I think we know exactly what Bill was really trying to say.
I'm sorry. I am really sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. But, Field of Dreams was good, wasn't it? Made us all believe again.
Actually, I take that back. He does reveal the whole thing to Abby.
There is no restored United States.
I figured it was something like that.
And she doesn't give much of a fight. Abby just goes with it and doesn't have much of a reaction. He just single-handedly told you the truth, and your excuse to still stand by him is because you're carrying his child? You know, I never thought I'd ask this question, but seeing we're at this point, I have every right when I simply say, "What the fuck is wrong with you, lady?" Bill even writes a letter to General Bethlehem telling him the whole thing was fake and it gets delivered by Ford because...
I'm still a postman. You owe it to me.
Why not? At first, Bethlehem is pleased by this, but then his victory is taken back by an alarming discovery. Now, in what I admit is an interesting twist, it's revealed that they capture a kid from California who apparently is a mail carrier like Ford and his gang. And Ford was unaware of how far the postman's legend has spread to the point it's beyond the state of Oregon.
No. This will never be over. It'll go on. Except I'll be fighting a goddamn ghost.
This is an interesting idea, but there's one tiny nitpicky flaw. The whole story is set within Oregon. We don't see outside Oregon's borders, we don't go beyond the boundaries of Oregon, we just stay within Oregon. So we have exactly no idea how far Bill's little lie, or the legend of the postman, has spread beyond the borders. We don't see its effect, we don't get a rough idea of how far it spread wide. And it's kind of a shame, because when something like this comes up, you just sort of wonder how big of an impact this one significant event could lead to such a grand thing. And we never really get that. What are the implications? At this point, we're probably just imagining that the legend of the postman is hanging above Lake Michigan as we speak. To be fair, it does lead to one of my favorite awkwardly delivered lines by Will Patton that only he can deliver so graciously.
I want all mail carriers hunted down. I want the postman found. I want him dealt with.
Fun fact, when the lengthy preview trailer premiered, this line was included. And oh, it was so gloriously mocked by everybody on the internet. Even before the internet was a big, huge thing. So, in some bizarre, strange way, this movie kind of gave birth to memeing in a sense. Maybe I'm just looking at this. No, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's a lot of awkward lines in the trailer that everybody was gaggling at. So Bill gets some help by a Tom Petty cameo, I kid you not, who turns out to be mayor of this futuristic city.
I know you. You're famous.
I was once. Sort of. Kind of. Not anymore.
Ow! I mean, no disrespect to Tom Petty, but... Ow, that hurt! Anyway, he decides to help out Bill by rallying up some troops, knowing that he will bring down Bethlehem's army.
There's 3 good-sized towns up ahead, with enough people to help you if you can convince them to come. Don't tell anybody. I like to ride this damn thing just for the hell of it.
Alright, finally, we get to the ultimate showdown between evil and mail carriers.
And let the slaughter begin!
Or the fate of our nation just boils down to 2 guys fighting it out.
And let the slaughter begin!
We could settle this right here. You and me.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
But it does in your army.
Oglaw 7. Where do I...
Yeah, it's probably wiser if we just shot you while you're showing off your number 8 tattoo, but then again, your duplication of that horse ride from Dances with Wolves is kind of epic.
Cry havoc! And let slip the dogs of war!
Shakespeare.
No!
In probably the weirdest climax, both men wrestle on the ground over the fate of the United States. And while that does sound epic on paper, the fight itself is kind of a letdown by how it's executed, with blurry slow motion and constant crossfades to reaction shots. Dare I say it, it's abusing crossfades to the point that crossfades are not cool anymore. Look, I'm no expert, but I feel that when it comes to a fight scene, in my personal opinion, it should have a lot of tension and should be really well shot. Look at the Rocky movies and the first Lethal Weapon. They know exactly when to be tense, gritty, and engaging. All we get here is 2 guys doing this.
Roly-poly fighting style! Roly-poly! 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 Frost! Frost! Roly-poly!
It doesn't have to be this way. Law 3. Mercy is for the weak. For don't.
You've already made as many bad decisions as I have, kid. It's not worth it. And just when it looks like Bethlehem has the upper hand, his colonel named Getty shoots him. Get it? Getty after Gettysburg? As if the metaphors and allegories couldn't be hammered in enough. You see, it was revealed earlier that his colonel challenged him for control of the wholeness, but he ended up failing and had his tongue cut out. I actually kind of feel bad seeing that I had to shoehorn this little detail at the last minute. We could have had an interesting character, but we didn't. Oh, and Abby finally gives birth. Want to take a guess at the baby's name?
Your daughter. Her name is Hope.
Boo! Boo! Boo, everybody involved!
Agreed. It would have been a more saving grace if you named that girl Jacob. This movie was amazing. Just amazingly bad. You could argue that The Postman is an important message in reminding us how faith and hope of our own nation is important within dark times, but considering your main character lies to everyone that the United States is fully restored and everything is hunky-dory, man, does that message backfire. You're more interested in seeing how everything unravels instead of seeing how peace gets restored. The only way I see this movie being saved is if everything Bill said was surprisingly true or left of ambiguity. Unfortunately, that is not the type of movie this is. I'll admit, there are some amusing moments here and there, both intentionally and unintentionally hilarious, but to sit through all 2 hours and 50 minutes just to see those moments? I don't think so. Hell, it didn't even show you half of the plodding and slowly paced moments that eat up the running time. The whole thing trudges at a turtle's pace, the overly patriotic message is botched, and it's clear there's a big ego running at the helm here. And you know what? I think I kind of agree with Gene Siskel's opinion on this movie.
And I call this picture derisively Dances with Myself. It's so noble and so self-serving. I mean, it's almost like Woody Allen having the cast applaud himself at the end of Deconstructing Harry.
In terms of good stuff, well, there's a performance or two that's actually pretty good. Will Patton is a delight to watch. And James Newton Howard's musical score is always a delight to hear once in a while, and there's a good shot or two here and there, but that's kind of about it. If you ask me if there was one way to sum up the entire movie in a nutshell, it would be the very final scene. At the tail end, we jump to the future 2048 and see everything is neatly restored, but that's not all.
And so, in honor of my father,
they made a statue. A bronze statue. They made a bronze statue in honor of Bill and his amazing white lie. Oh sure, screw all the other mail carriers that died in the process of putting back together our government. This guy truly deserves it. And the cherry on this whole thing is the little kid in the statue who gets his letter delivered. Is played by Kevin Costner's real-life son, Joe! So much pretentiousness! My God! This man lied so much! And in the end, he gets a memorial! A big statue in his honor! No repercussions! The fact that one little tiny white lie can restore so much faith in this country! The fact that a false truth can do so much good! What a horrible message! That's like saying if in 1,000 years' time they'll dedicate a statue to me in honor of reviewing this movie. Because if anything, no one else deserves it other than myself. Weenie weenie spoon face.
Mmm. And now I shall enjoy some vanilla. Don't judge me.
Cut.
Very nice. You're very kind.
I'm clapping because you stink.